Hello, everybody, and cheers.
We have the much waited for and much anticipated happy hour.
And much needed.
just so that you'll know, I'm actually drinking some homemade Kahlua.
Yeah. In our new light glasses, you probably can't see this too well, but
Actually, can I tell my little story about the Kahlua? Oh, this is happy hour. I can talk about whatever I want to.
Yes, you can. Tell the story about the Kahlua.
Okay, years ago, Kim and I came across a recipe to make homemade Kahlua because, you know, when you're at a rendezvous and you have coffee in the morning, a hot pot of coffee going, ain't nothing like a little bit of Kahlua to get your day started, along with the coffee, if you coffee connoisseurs know what I mean. So anyhow, we actually improved upon this recipe, and so I started sharing my Kahlua with my other buckskinners in camp, and before I knew it, my Kahlua was gone. There used to be a joke around camp saying that, you know, Mike has the never-ending bottle of Kahlua. Well, the bottle ended. But it's interesting because over the years, Kim and I never gave out our recipe. And eventually, I'd go to a rendezvous, and before anybody would come up and say, "Hi, Mike, how you doing?" I'd say, "Did you bring your Kahlua?"
It's really good to take Oreos and dunk in there. Yeah. You know, we don't dunk it in milk. We dunk Oreos
in Kahlua.
Oh, yeah, good stuff.
So, anyhow, over the years, people started challenging our Kahlua recipe. They started coming to rendezvous with their own homemade Kahlua, and taste testing ensued. And no matter how many people tried to compare other people's recipe to our recipe, ours was still the best.
Because I have a secret.
We have a secret. And we're not going to tell about the secret recipe. No. The recipe stays with us.
Actually, I do give the regular recipe out.
Yeah, but they have to find their own improvement, don't they?
I just don't tell them my secret.
That's right. So anyhow, cheers, everybody.
Oh, got lots of things this evening. I know we've had several requests for a happy hour, and we've been meaning to do one for a couple of weeks now, and for some reason it just didn't seem to work out too well. So anyway, for those of you who have been online today, which is Halloween 2014, the Pasta News Network, boom, first thing this morning, it starts hitting the, sites and everything. And this is from the Zalkin Law Firm. It's a press release. And it's from our buddy Irwin. Hi, Irwin! Victim of childhood sexual abuse awarded $13.5 million default judgment against the Jehovah's Witness national organization, the Watchtower.
Booyah! Another $13.5 million flushed down the toilet, Jehovah's Witnesses, because of child abuse.
Yeah.
That multi-billion dollars is dwindling away, isn't it, big boys? Yeah.
Love to hear stuff like this.
Yeah. And one of our favorite governing body members is at the center of this article.
Yeah. Well, before I mention that, there's news reports on YouTube for the San Diego area for this court case. The Elder Campos, Campos, is the one that was accused. And for those of you who don't know, he gave like a interview or deposition, whatever it was, and he admitted that he had done this, to these poor children. And then he took off to Mexico. And of course, Mexico does not have extradition to the United States.
Well, it does in certain cases. Apparently in this one, it doesn't.
Yeah. But anyway, Watchtower was left holding the bag. And it's interesting because, let me find it here.
Did you not highlight it?
I didn't highlight it.
Oh, you know what? Her and I argue back and forth all the time because she wants, I'm going to get to this in a little bit, Daniel, brother, but she wanted to highlight the book. And no, don't highlight my books. And what does she do?
One little dot.
She forgets to highlight her own reference material. I love it.
It's your fault. Made me afraid to even touch the highlighter.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's talking about Mr. Lopez is the victim. Now, I believe there's other victims, but this particular case is with Mr. Lopez, and he suffered for years because of horrendous abuse. And I'm trying to find out here. It was a default judgment because Garrett Loesch refused to show up to do a deposition. Yeah.
Oh, the high and mighty are afraid to speak, when they're in court. Oh, they'll say whatever they want to say on JW telecast or at their annual meeting. But oh my God, when you're sitting before a judge to give a deposition, oh, they kind of cower, don't they?
Yeah. Okay, yes, there was other victims because Campos admitted to abusing at least 8 others. Let's see, I was just trying to find
You
here.
really should have highlighted those.
I know. I know. Well, I'll tell you what. John Cedars did an article about this, and he's got the press release, the article, the judgment because of default and all of that. I know it's in here somewhere, but it's like 4 pages long, and I didn't highlight it. So anyway, this is good news.
You didn't highlight it.
And
Keep them entertained. I'm going to look for it. I'm going to find it for you here.
Well, honey, that train has left the station.
Oh, okay. And that train left with $13.5 million of watchtower.
Yeah, and this is just one victim.
Oh, yeah.
What about the other 8? Can you imagine if they all get 10 to 20 million each? Ooh, oh, no wonder Watchtower's begging for money. Okay, now on to our next subject. We want to thank Brian. And Brian has sent us a little video where he explains this, and he didn't think he did a good job on this, but we feel that he explained it better than we could. But he has designed and invented JW-opoly. And it looks like a fun game. He has designed this whole entire thing, the cards and everything. And we'll, let him tell you about it in the video.
Yeah, we'll actually post the link to the video. Yeah.
He was working on this for 5 years. Talk about, he says this was his therapy, because we know we all need some kind of therapy. Ours was just flapping our mouth on YouTube videos. Yes.
Yeah.
But Brian has invented this Monopoly-like game for the ex-JW community.
See, it's been about 2 weeks since we watched the video because we were kind of up in the air as to whether we really wanted to, whether Brian was ready for us to do a video on it, because we told him that we would do it. But if memory serves me right, the money has got Charles Taze Russell's mug on it.
Yeah, and he's, the property, and jail is meetings, and it really looks like it is a hoot.
Yes.
Now, the reason we're doing this is because he's talking to a printer that is going to be printing these up for him. And he just kind of needs an idea of how many to order for the first, printing. And so if you're interested in, at least maybe finding out about this or maybe purchasing one, if you could just put in the comments below, and Brian is going to be looking at the comments to kind of get an estimate of how many of these games, he needs the printer to do.
What better way than to get a couple of your apostate brothers together to have an evening of the fun board game JW-opoly.
Yeah, and if I remember right, he's done away with the railroads, and in those sections he has put New Light, and there's cards.
Hey, let's have a toast to New Light. New Light,
and
here we go.
JW-opoly. So what we're going to do is let's insert that clip right here.
Hello, Mike and Kim, and greetings from Victoria, BC, up in Canada. And my name's Brian, and this is my creation, the JW-opoly board game. Now, I created this basically for my own therapeutic device, and it's kind of mushroomed into something that I think actually some people might be interested in having. And you know, I've played the game a lot of times with friends and family, former former JWs, and wow, everybody just had a great time, lots of laughing and carrying on. So let me just zoom in here and show you what some of the street names or property names are now. You'll notice that they're all to do with things that you would normally find within the Watchtower organization. Here's my version of what used to be jail in the original Monopoly, is now called the meeting, which of course is the ultimate method of incarceration. As you zoom around here, you'll see a few more favorites. Gog of Magog Avenue, the old street corner work. So kind of an interesting thing to pull out when you're having a visit with some ex-JWs. It's not too often perhaps that you see people having fun with regards to the Watchtower Society. This kind of gives you an opportunity to have a couple of laughs. We'll be able to show you the card categories that exist. You know, in Monopoly we have Chance and Community Chest. The card categories in my game are the Society and, if I can just get around the corner quickly here, Community Pests instead of Community Chests, or Community Chest. So the Community Pest card category is little stories and things to do with your experiences while you're out in service. Certainly not the kind of experiences you'd expect to hear at an assembly. The Society is more your dealings directly with the elders and the society in general. My game has a third card category called New Light, and the New Light cards are just silly messages from the Wash Towel Society that could pertain to anything from money-raising schemes to new releases of publications to changing rules and doctrines and whatever. So I also made some play money to go along with the game, and what I did was I was trying to get a different president for each one of the bills, but unfortunately I could only find one that actually downloaded well enough to be printed. So I used Russell for all of them. That works pretty good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you some of the sample cards that are in the game. So just get me a minute to get in position for that. Okay, so we're going to start out with some of the New Light cards. I'll get this centered for you here. I'll read it. It says, now available. The Society is pleased to introduce the all-new Armageddon Countdown Calculator. This versatile tool will make predicting Armageddon easier than ever. Simply enter critical data which will be issued by the blubbering body. This data will probably change frequently, so you will be able to regularly calculate new dates for the big event. Lots of fun for family study time. Each player pay $400 for this hot new item. And then in brackets it says, note, might not actually work. Okay, so we'll check out one more here. The blubbering body has determined that sisters may give talks without householders, provided all members of the audience turn their backs on the female speaker. All players contribute $700 to share in the cost of installing swivel chairs at the Kingdom Hall. And we'll do one more. The blubbering body has received divine instruction to write a new book designed for members who are somewhat simple-minded. The book, entitled The Truth for Dummies, will be available at the next district convention. It is not yet known whether this new publication will be made available to the general public. So as you can see, some of these cards don't really require much in the way of action. They're just silly notions from the Watchtower, or the Wash Towel, pardon me. Okay, so here's one of the cards from the Society. There we go. You accidentally laugh out loud during the announcement of the Society's latest calculation for the arrival date of Armageddon. Receive 1 demerit point. Now, players are going to receive demerit points for infractions of rules throughout the game, and if you reach 10, you're actually disfellowshipped, which means the other players can't talk to you until such time as you're reinstated. You would display this sign in front of your workspace at that time. And it may sound like kind of a cruel thing, but actually, when in actual play, it's actually kind of funny. So you have to play it to believe that, I guess. But here's one of the cards from the Community Pest, and this again is dealing with your experiences out in service. It says you and a householder use up all of your magazines while trying out his brand new paper shredder. And the elders remove 1 demerit point to reward you for placing so many magazines in a single day. So, yeah, it is possible also to lose demerit points. So it's not as though once you're disfellowshipped, you never get to communicate again. So, oh, and here's the here are the title deed cards that I made up to go with the game. Now, in this game, the idea basically is like Monopoly. You're trying to buy properties and hope that people land on them and you collect money. But instead of building just houses and hotels, each of the color groups in this game have a specific zoning for specific types of businesses. For example, the purple zone is for adult theaters. So you would have 1, 2, 3, 4 adult theaters, and then instead of a hotel, you would get the Cineplex. The turquoise zone is for occult and astrology businesses. The next purple zone is for bars and dance clubs. Orange is for tobacco manufacturing. The red zone is for sleazy motels and brothels. Okay. Yellow zone is for breweries and distilleries. We have casinos and gaming houses. So you can see all these things are items that the Watchtower Society certainly wouldn't want anybody to be involved with. And in this game, you do get involved with that. And yeah, it's just kind of a slap in the face to the Watchtower. So I guess that's about it. It's basically like a regular game of Monopoly with some twists to it. And so if you do like Monopoly, you'd probably like playing this. And if you've at one time in your life been a JW, or if you are a JW and you're in the process of fading, you'd probably really enjoy this. Most of the comments that I've heard from, in fact, all the comments that I've heard from people that have played it, they think it's really good. Like I said, I originally made this just for my own therapeutic purposes, but I've been encouraged to investigate whether, there might be some interest in it on a commercial level. I don't really want to come off sounding like I'm trying to make an easy dollar off my fellow ex-JWs, but for now, if anybody was interested in having a copy of this to try it out, I mean, if they were prepared to cover the cost of production, I'm not looking at making a profit right now. So yeah, that's about it. So thanks for having a look at it, and don't be afraid to give me some feedback on it. I know it's not your normal Toys R Us type item that is ever going to be supplied or carried in a store or that sort of thing, but I thought just for private orders, if anybody was interested in having a copy for those nights when you have some other apostates come over to your house and you can have a game of JW-opoly and have a couple of laughs. So let me know what you think. Drop me a line, and thanks for watching. Bye now.
That really looks
looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Charlotte and James is like,
Yeah.
oh, if you guys get one, we'll come play with you.
Well, just think about the market value of a board game like that when Watchtower's done and gone.
Of course, I know what it's like playing Monopoly with you, so I don't know if I want to play with him.
Well, okay. Cat's out of the bag now. No, I don't cheat. I'm just extremely skilled at board games and card games and Scrabble. Okay? Now, here's the thing, and I'll tell everybody the reason why these games come very simple to me. When I was a child growing up in the cult, my mom and dad thought that it would be a wonderful idea to get the TV out of the house. So for about 3 years, if memory serves me correctly, for about 2 to 3 years, we had no TV, no television in our house. So guess what we did? We played cards, we played board games, we played Scrabble, and even when I was in junior high school, there was a Scrabble tournament that I participated in, and I won it.
And that's better entertainment than TV?
Well, my mom and dad thought it was. Hell, I was sorely disappointed because I was missing Batman and Robin. Now for me to get my Batman and Robin fix, I got to watch them on Netflix. That's the only way I can satisfy that urge. Batman. Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun, dun. Oh, hey, you know what? I got. Before I get
Don't
on
lose
to
your place.
before I get on to the book here, dang it, my card fell out. Son of a guy. I hate that. I lost my. You know what? I'd probably better find my place if I put a little yellow marker on it.
Or paperclip like I do.
Paperclip. Okay. Here in the United States, we are fast approaching the voting season. The second to first Tuesday of November, whatever day it is. So on the TVs, all we hear now is this candidate. Yeah, I need another drink. This candidate said this, and this candidate did this, and this candidate. I mean, you all seen the advertisements.
Constant.
All they do is bash and slander one another. That's all they do. So, being an ex-JW, I might have a mind to go out and vote, but by God, who in the hell do I vote for? Because no matter who I vote for, I'm putting a slanderer in office. But it gets even better. When I was a JW and I was being challenged as to why Jehovah's Witnesses don't vote, well, if you don't vote, you're not American. If you're not American, you ought to leave the country. So I would ask, well, who did you vote for? Well, I voted for the lesser of two evils. But aren't you still voting for evil? Well, yeah. So, I mean, really, you're going to be voting for evil. You're going to be voting for a slanderer. You might as well not vote. That's just my personal opinion. That's all I got to say. But I have one more thing. Thanks to my darling wife this week at work, myself and my co-worker and my boss, we had the fine opportunity to eat a delicacy all week long. And that was salted sunflower seeds. So I have a joke. What's worse than biting into a sunflower seed and discovering that the seed is gone?
That there's a worm there instead?
Oh, you gave it away.
Really? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I was going to let them think about it and say, biting into the sunflower seed and discovering that what ate the seed is still in the seed. You ruined a perfectly good joke.
I'm sorry.
Unbelievable.
It was just out of the blue.
You know what? You weren't supposed to say anything. You were supposed to say goodnight, Kimmy. The joke is done.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
So let me try this again.
It's happened to me. That's why.
Let me try this again. What's worse than biting into a sunflower seed? Okay. Well, I hope everybody got that joke.
I really
Okay. Now we're gonna go on to
Daniel Hall has written a book. Now, some of you
it's called The Armageddon Cult.
Now, some of you have probably seen Eric of JW Struggle, his grandmother tragedy video. Well, that story comes from this book.
Daniel was kind enough to send Kim and I a copy.
Thank you, Daniel.
I don't know if he meant for me to critique it or not, but thank you. You know what, Daniel?
We're going to anyway.
I'm just going to talk to you personally, brother. When Kim and I left Watchtower, we reread the Bible, and mainly the Christian Greek scriptures. For me, it was Acts forward. I really didn't read the gospel account, but it was from Acts to the book of Revelation. And it just amazed myself as to how much you can learn about the Bible without the cult influence and what the true message of the Bible is, without the cult influence. And Daniel, I'm only up to page 50, 50 something. Oh, actually, yeah, I'm up to page 50. No, excuse me. 68. But it just amazes me of the things that I've read so far without you and I talking to each other, how much I've come to the conclusion that you're already describing in here. And I've even made this comment before, that when I was reading Crisis of Conscience, but no, excuse me, not Crisis of Conscience, but In Search of Christian Freedom, how much, I was on the same wavelength as Ray Franz, because I would actually put the book down and I would actually read the first part of the subject matter, and then I would hand the book to Kim, and I said, now let me see if this is where Ray is going. And I would explain myself, and she would read it, and that's exactly where Ray went with that thought. So I just find it, amazing that some of the things that you've said in here already are things that just by reading the Bible without the cult influence, that we all come to the same conclusion. But I am going to share a couple of things here.
Thought we went through problems with elders.
Man.
Oh, this poor brother.
This guy, Brother Daniel, you took a beating like I've never, ever heard in my life. This is, my goodness, nobody, not even your worst enemy deserved the treatment that this brother got from these asshole elders. And that's all I got to say about that. But how many times as a Jehovah's Witness have you sat in the Kingdom Hall and you've heard the announcement, brother so-and-so has been disfellowshipped? And the way the system is supposed to work, whenever there's a disfellowshipping, within a short amount of time, there's supposed to be a local needs talk. And the local needs talk is supposed to be talking about not specifically the wrongdoer or what he did per se, but it's to let the congregation kind of know what's been going on, and the danger and the traps and everything else. But how many times as a Jehovah's Witness have we heard a talk from an elder? Now, brothers and sisters, you must trust your elders. When they decide to disfellowship somebody, it's for good reason. You don't know what goes on behind those doors. You don't know the conversations. So, brothers, you need to trust that when the elders disfellowship somebody, it's the right decision.
I wish I had $1 for every time I heard that.
Well, I'm not going to read the whole thing, because there's a lot of things that were said behind closed doors that the congregation will never, ever know. So I'm just going to kind of read something here. It's found on page 48. And this is when Daniel is with the Judicial Committee again.
Trying to get reinstated.
Yes, trying to get reinstated. Daniel says, I immediately knew that this was an exercise in futility. And what he had done, never mind, I'm just going to read it. Realizing that all of this was pointless, I said, well, I never was told what I supposedly lied about. There was a pause. So they accused Daniel of lying. And then Daniel challenges them and says, I was never told what I lied about. One of the elders says, you lied to the DMV, which is the Division of Motor Vehicle, one said, alluding to the vehicle registration matter. Now, if I remember correctly, Daniel's registration on his vehicle had run out, and the elders questioned him on it, and he said, oh yeah, my vehicle's registered, and it wasn't. So the elders said, accused him of being a liar for that, and they were holding that against him. So my disfellowshipping, so Daniel goes on and says, so my disfellowshipping is all tied to the vehicle registration problem, I asked. No, it was not, one exclaimed. See, this is what goes on behind closed doors that you're not privy to. And we're asking the questions here. You are not here to question us about anything.
I've heard that a couple of times too.
Do you see what goes on behind closed doors? It's a kangaroo court. When you get disfellowshipped, you're royally screwed. See? Because those three assholes control your life. Can you imagine? And we're asking the questions here. You are not here to question us about anything. That's what goes on behind those closed doors in the judicial meetings.
Well, do you remember?
Unbelievable.
Do you remember that elders meeting? We weren't even behind closed doors. We were in an elders meeting, and we were encircled by 12 elders.
Oh yeah. Oh well, yeah. But compared to what we went through, this guy went through hell on earth.
Yeah. But I was just going to mention that I can remember. It was all about because Mike and I had written a letter to the society questioning the actions of the presiding overseer and the circuit overseer.
And also the service overseer.
Yeah. And I can remember an elder getting right in my face, pointing his finger and says, "You're just a sister. You have no right to question us or anything."
Yeah.
I just happened to have had a magazine I pulled out, and it said anybody in the congregation can question anything.
Yeah, we were well prepared for that.
Of course, they don't allow that anymore. You question anything, you get the axe.
Just done. But there was also another comment in here during these proceedings that I thought was quite interesting, Daniel. The comment about the elders told you was in a holding pattern. What the hell is a JW holding pattern? I do get that, Daniel.
You've been there, done that
I've been there, but not because of being disfellowship. When, like Kim alluded to, we challenged the authority in our Cottonwood, Arizona congregation. We sent letters, and a lot of things were questioned, a lot of things were done, and so we were pretty confident that when we left Arizona, that a bad letter was going to follow us to Wisconsin, and of course, the elders will not let you read that letter, but they have the authority to discuss it with you. And every time I brought up the content of the letter, I had two elders tell me, "Well, I really didn't pay attention." Oh yeah, I really didn't pay attention to what was said.
Well, we even had our book study conductor tell me, because I said something about the letter that came, from Arizona about us, and he said, "Oh, well, we really don't pay too much attention to those
until you want to reach out for a privilege." About a year now, keep in mind when we first moved to Wisconsin, I was showing a willing attitude. I asked.
You're auxiliary pioneering, if I remember.
Well,
right.
yeah, off and on. But I had asked the brothers if to assign me to a book study that needs the most help. So I get assigned to a book study 20 miles away. So round trip, it was a 40-mile trip for us. But they only had like one or two brothers in this book study. And, within a couple of weeks, I was reading at the book study and, going out in service regularly. So about a year and a half passes. I don't remember the exact time frame. But some time had passed. I had auxiliary pioneered from time to time. My field service hours were up. So I asked the Watchtower study conductor. I asked him one Sunday after the meeting, I says, "Brother, I would like to be considered for reading the Watchtower." And I asked him, so the next, elders meeting, could you, bring up what my wishes and my desires are? Because obviously, being a ministerial servant for 7-8 years, I was well qualified to read the Watchtower and, give public talks and everything else. So here comes the holding pattern. The brother said, "Yeah, well, I'll discuss it with them." 6 months later, I kid you not, 6 months later, I asked the brother, I pulled the Watchtower study conductor aside again. I said, "Don, did you brothers ever discuss me reading the Watchtower during the Sunday meeting?" You know what his answer was? "We're still considering it."
Holding pattern.
Holding pattern. What's there to consider? I was regular in service. I auxiliary pioneer. My family affairs were, my daughter was a regular pioneer at the time. I was supporting a regular pioneer. We're still considering it. 6 months. Yeah, what's there to consider? No, I think that had to do a lot with that letter that followed me from Arizona. But there's another really good point in here, Daniel, that I want to bring out.
You're going to bring out the article at the end?
Oh, yeah, that one too. The starting of the chapter on page 65, he's got these words printed up here at the top.
In the shape of a tree.
joy, love, peace, happiness, fulfillment, contentment, acceptance, purpose. I can't read that one.
Rest, eternal life,
glory. And obviously it's in the shape of a tree. And you know, Daniel, I never really thought about this until I read this in this portion.
Good point.
Yeah, very good point. He says the Jehovah's Witness might react to this wonderful list by thinking, this looks like a Christmas tree. They claim that Christmas tree is pagan. Well, in the mind of a Jehovah's Witness, for crying out loud, everything's pagan. Everything's pagan. And in fact, if they're wearing a little stick pin that says JW.org, well, hell, that's idol worship. That's paganism. Watchtower, Jehovah's Witnesses.
Or a tie.
Yeah. You know, so
plastered
really,
all over the place.
But, you know, the thing is in the mind of a Jehovah's Witness, I think out of all of the holidays that humans celebrate, I think Christmas is the one that Jehovah's Witnesses are programmed to hate the absolute most. Now, you ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, and if you're a current Jehovah's Witness, you know what I'm talking about. The season comes along, you walk into Walmart grocery store and you're hearing a Christmas song, and all of a sudden you catch your mind singing along and humming to, oh God, I hate that. Oh, I can't wait till these pagans are dead. Oh, I can't wait till this stinking holiday's over. It just
sounds just like your mom.
Oh yeah, I mean it just boils fear and inside hate of a mind of a Jehovah's Witness and hate. Okay, so because it's pagan, and that's again, and I've done another video how Jehovah's Witnesses are actually programmed to hate. But this thought was priceless to me. So our minds were programmed to fit everything into our worldview, the Watchtower's view. Many things that are good, the Watchtower Society labels as bad. This is shaped like a tree, but who said anything about a Christmas tree? You might think that having joy on top of the tree reminds you of Christmas. The Watchtower claims that Christmas songs are pagan.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Now, keep that in mind because he makes a very good point here. The Watchtower claims that Christmas songs are pagan. So then he starts quoting a few...
I don't think pagans sing these songs.
Right. So then he quotes from the song, Joy to the world, our Lord has come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare him room. Let heaven and nature sing. Let heaven and nature sing. And you know how the rest of the song goes. So then he says, that certainly doesn't sound like what a pagan would proclaim, but yet a pagan would not sing it, Jehovah's Witnesses, because these songs are designed to bring honor and glory to our King and our Redeemer. And yet you people, I refused to sing them. I hated the very tune of these songs that brought praise and glory to our King. And yet you people refuse to sing them. So really, doesn't that make you pagan? And in reality, doesn't that make you part of the Antichrist? So Daniel, I can't wait to read more of the book because for me, that comment right there, that to me, that would just be an absolute deal breaker because Jehovah's Witnesses hate the songs that bring honor and glory to Christ. They absolutely hate them, but that's who Watchtower is.
Sorry, I kind of took the punchline out of that one,
too.
Yeah, you
did. Yeah,
didn't mean to.
You're just on fire tonight, aren't you? Well, here, I'll let you do this one, so that way there,
it's
I can finish my
German.
drink. Good morning.
Yeah, der Morgen. Okay, he's got a scan here of an article, German article, from a May 18th, 1923 German newspaper article called Der Morgen, which translates to the morning. And there's a question here. The title is, are the serious Jehovah's Witnesses really harmless?
Now, this again was written in 1923.
Yeah, and when Mike read this to me, it was like...
Well, the thing that I want to what I would seriously love to find out is to get a hold of his original letters.
Yeah,
that this article is based upon.
Journalist, because this
Yes.
journalist has, I'll just read part of this. This is accidentally we received original letters from Masons, that's Freemasons, that shed new light on the innocence of individual witnesses of Jehovah. They are named as the pioneers of Masonry, which received sufficient financial support through their Mason brothers. This explains how they can afford such extravagant propaganda. Let us share an excerpt from this letter with you, okay? Then he's got an excerpt from a letter.
Now remember, this was printed in a German newspaper, so this was public knowledge back in 1923.
Yeah. Dear Mason brother, concerning your second question about Jehovah's Witnesses, these people are an advantage to us. We support them indirectly with a lot of money made by Mason brothers during the course of the war. I published an excerpt from a letter from an American Mason which clearly states that JWs receive financial and moral support from the Freemason. It is not said that the JWs consciously support the Masons. The opposite. The JWs are not aware whose interests they are supporting.
So, Daniel, I don't know where you got, well, obviously you probably got that newspaper off of microfilm somewhere, because that's where you can only find that stuff anymore, or at least when you were doing your research, brother. But it would be interesting if somebody somehow, some way could obtain those original letters that were sent to the writer of this article of this newspaper, because that might go a long way in absolutely confirming what we all suspect, that Watchtower has Freemason ties, and
the directing file isn't even
don't
aware.
Don't have a clue what they're involved with.
Yep.
So anyhow, the book is called The Armageddon Cult
by Daniel Hall.
Daniel Earl Hall. If anybody's truly interested in obtaining a copy,
it is on Amazon.
Yeah, it's on Amazon. I don't know what the book price is right now, but I should mention that this is actually I don't want to dare say the second edition, because let me just read this down here real quick. The original copyright was 1988, and it was entitled Eve of Armageddon. And then in 2002, we got the first printing of the Christian edition, which I'm assuming, Daniel, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming that it's this one. This is the Christian edition, the Armageddon Cult. There again, some of the things that I'm reading in here are things that you can learn on your own, if just by reading the gospel account and by reading the Christian Greek scriptures without the Watchtower influence. But he does have a good list of reference material, good source material, and for me at this point, it's an absolute gem for me to be reading. I'm enjoying it, Daniel. So thank you so much.
Appreciate you so much
for sending me a copy of that.
So I think we covered everything, or did you want to share that scripture with everybody, or you want to save that for another video?
I saved that for another video.
Yes. Well, you all have a great weekend. We've got company coming tomorrow, so like I mentioned in the other video, we won't be online for a day or two. So
yeah, right. We've said that before. We've said that before. So yeah, we'll just see what happens. You never know around this place. Well, okay.
You never know what's going to fall in our laps.
Yeah, well, that's true. I do. I'm hoping if everything goes right tomorrow, we will be having a special guest on XJW TV. Yeah, I almost said telecast, but XJW TV. So I won't give anything away right now. I will make all of the connections when we sit down and videotape it or film it in front of the camera. Tomorrow is supposed to be a windy day, so we're really not going to be able to do it outside because the microphone on a camera is really sensitive. And I tell you what, you breathe hard and you can hear it. So we'll probably end up having to do it in our studio.
Of course.
Of course. So good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
It's been a pleasure.
Yes. Thank you for watching.
Bye.